so many contrasting feelings from the very last day of Anfield football for this season, at least. Liverpool 1-1 at home with Aston Villa, which pretty much puts Champions League football beyond Liverpool, assuming that Manchester United win one of their last two games, and assuming that Liverpool don't win, or even if they were to win that last one, there's still too much to do there. And Liverpool didn't quite sneak into those Champions League spaces, but it really was like, well, it wasn't like that. It was, it's a frustrating one for Liverpool, I think, because if we go back to the game, I'll unpack the game for a second, right? There are a few what I would call confusing refereeing decisions in there. There's a few, are you sure about that kind of things there? And there's a couple of times where the referee was called over to a screen. There's a couple of times where a referee wasn't called over to a screen. There's a couple of times where a red card was rescinded. Like, how is it that there were so many back and forth elements in this game, which almost felt like they were teasing Jurgen Klopp as he was condemned to the stands after what he said about another one of the referee's colleagues? The frustration for Liverpool would be that back and forth games like this, games where Anfield sort of feels a bit conflicted. It's the final day at Anfield. It's meant to be a bit of a party. It's also the final day for Bobby, Millie, can you call him Oxy, and then Naby? Kind of works. It was the final day for those guys, possibly some other people as well. And the frustration around Anfield was that they couldn't just give them a simple send-off. It couldn't just be a sort of, hey, look at all that you've done, we're sending you off, with knowing that we made it into the Champions League, knowing that you left us in good shape, which a lot of these players probably do anyway, because we will find replacements or improvements on most of those positions. But the frustration is that, right? And then on top of that as well, with Bobby coming on, with him getting that great goodbye, him being so key in scoring and putting on pressure so late, it kind of is a bit frustrating. You almost want the goodbye to be like, this was great, like, look at what you did. But you don't quite want it to be, hey, thanks for trying to dig us out of this and not quite getting there. Because the other players that are replacing you weren't quite getting there. Although what you would say is whoever plays Bobby's position probably isn't the replacement that Liverpool are looking for, or the frustration for Liverpool right now. The midfield is still very much the frustration for this side. The shape of it, how Liverpool get control of games, who plays. I think the real key is who plays ahead of the two, being Trent and Firmino in midfield. Trent and Fabinho in midfield. And the people ahead of that pretty much dictate whether Liverpool have got control in this game, and how they play, how they interact with the opposition midfield, how the opposition play around what Liverpool roughly play as a box, but isn't really a box. All those kind of different elements dictate at the moment as to whether Liverpool have control on the game. And Liverpool went one season to playing a bit more conservative football, but having a lot more control, having a lot more to bank on, should we say, in matches, to this season where it feels a bit like going back to when we were, hey, if they play good, we win the game. If they don't, we're out. It was frustrating. I will be doing other videos as goodbyes to Bobby and Milner and probably Ox and Naby as well, but mostly those two. That Ox gave me one of the greatest moments at Anfield ever. We'll talk about that in a future video, probably towards the end of the season. And on top of that as well, I think the frustration for Liverpool is there are still some elements within this team where you're sort of like, is this kind of goodbye? Is this like your last bit? I know Hendo actually looks great in the last section of this season. I would have been frustrated if I was him, listening to some of the comments from probably even people like me, but more pressingly, more people who were not Liverpool fans or people who didn't quite understand what Hendo's role was within the team. He's really come good, I think, towards the end of the season, and he's sometimes kept it simple. Sometimes he's been part of really intricate moves. I've actually enjoyed watching Jordan Henderson towards the end of this year, and even though he's been a fantastic captain, I can't always say that I enjoy watching Liverpool's midfield. I got pleasure from it, but whether it was an enjoyable watch is another thing. Do you know what I mean? So on top of that, I think there's also something to say about how Villa played Liverpool and how Liverpool have had a bit of a blueprint, which I think was there to be broken for a little while now at Anfield, but also away from home. And in a few games, I think Liverpool have played well, but like I said in my last video, I think there are still some vulnerabilities there in that midfield. There's still some vulnerabilities in the glue and the join between the defence and the attack, in the spaces that Liverpool leave at either side or in between the defenders and Virgil van Dijk. And, Villa were trying to exploit that. Even when Liverpool were actually quite deep and Villa were dominating so much of the game, I think Liverpool found it difficult to find their shape. They found it difficult to enforce what it was that they wanted to do on the game because Villa weren't letting Trent get into the midfield. They were pushing him out wide even more. And, he was trying to find space on the ball. Fabinho was getting sucked over towards Trent to maybe try to give him a bit more support and maybe try and make a basis to build from, but they were never quite getting there. And you could see that Villa knew that. And obviously, I think Unai Emery's run towards the end of the season has been fantastic. I think he's definitely one to watch with Villa next year as long as the momentum stays there. He's very much a momentum manager. And, having come from the Sevilla, Villarreal's, that mid-level of La Liga teams, pushing up the table and punching up is what he's good at. And that is what he's done very well towards the end of this season with Villa and the squad that wasn't really his, frankly, and probably was one that Villa were looking to transition on from in the first place. So credit to them. And I think, today with the offsides and onside, I've had a few Villa fans coming back and forth at me. I guess I can kind of respect that. But at the same time, it's those offsides, it's those decisions that Liverpool's season really hinged on. Now, I don't want to get into conspiracy theory. I don't want to get into, if this had happened, or maybe if Klopp hadn't annoyed this guy, or if this guy had... The fact is that Liverpool have got to cope with whatever circumstances it is anyway. You have to play through that. You have to be so undeniable as one of these top sides, because whilst there is a democratisation to the league and, every league table starts alphabetically, there are hierarchy and bourgeois and, hegemony within the league, which does play out in the table. And as Liverpool is one of the top sides, you have to be in control. You have to be undeniable, as I put it, as a side. And at the moment, Liverpool are working their way into undeniability. The frustration, I think, as I pointed out on James Lawrence Alcott's channel the other day and on his podcast, was with that, a few players still know they're moving on. You can imagine that whilst the feeling is kind of good because they've been chasing for this top four, it's not quite sort of, oh, look, we're chasing for the league again. It's not quite the very apex of where Liverpool can be. And you'd hope that in this shirt next season, not a bad start, but not a great start in this shirt, but you'd hope that in this shirt next season, Liverpool are challenging for something more meaningful than, they didn't even challenge for an FA Cup or a League Cup this season. And frankly, were they really ever in the Champions League after they got out of the group stages? Apart from playing their way into form, which they really have more recently. The plus side is Liverpool have played their way into form. They have shown that the system is so key, that Klopp's coaching and Pep Lindner's coaching and all these things are so key to the way that Liverpool operate. But this transitional phase has possibly undermined a lot of different power structures at Liverpool right now. And whilst Liverpool are building those power structures up, it's hard to buttress the difficult moments. It's hard for Liverpool to know where the future of the squad is without some faces in. Hendo already talking in open media days about, hey, I think we will bring people in midfield, probably indicating that he does know something. I think we will bring reinforcements in here, here, and here. And openly saying that, I think what I did find interesting about it was, obviously he's trying to be diplomatic, and I think everyone has to be diplomatic because of his own position within the team, but also being captain. With that, he was basically trying to say, look, this isn't a rebuild. And I get, maybe it feels like reinforcements. You can't do a full rebuild in a side that you want to compete, because you have to do, hey, let's focus on the midfield. Maybe it's a defender in January. Maybe it's a midfielder in January. Then maybe at the end of the season, we're looking at, you probably, next summer, if Liverpool spend this summer and this January, I don't expect to spend next summer, because I'd have expected Liverpool to get a number of people in who would be good enough. I might expect one midfielder to come in next summer. Not this summer coming, but the summer after. So, frustration, I would say, is rife at Liverpool right now. Having said that, I do think that Liverpool look better. And I do think there is a good feeling that we can build on from this season. Playing in this shirt probably helps. Having Liverpool, how can I put it, building on this for next year, and knowing that even though there probably some players playing in this team that will not be first choice next season, is probably a good thing. Because you will only imagine that the players that Liverpool bring in will be improvements or extra reinforcements on top of what Liverpool have right now. On top of that, though, the talk is that Liverpool are going to be getting those two guys that probably sit in front of Fabinho and Trent, right? And actually, we are obviously playing to Fabinho's strengths, should we say, right now, and I think that's a good thing. But having to play to a player's strengths and feel like you don't want to expose that player, at times can feel a little limiting to a side, especially a Liverpool side who want to stretch their legs. So I think we need some backup for Fabinho as well, and I think that's become more and more evident as the season has gone on. It's not that there isn't great quality in the squad, it's not that there isn't respect for these veterans within the team. It's that in order to compete, there has to be an element of realism around this side. And I'd love to know what people think. I will be making videos specifically about Bobby Firmino. I will be making videos specifically about the other three midfielders leaving in Milner, Ox and Naby. There is a lot to unpack there, but there's also some stuff to learn about what happened with Milner. Why was that so fruitful, should we say? Was it just what happened on the field? What happened with Naby? Why was that not as fruitful as we would have thought? What did that limit Liverpool with? Same with Ox and his injuries. And then you can never speak about Firmino with anything but a glowing review, but we'll be looking at his time at Liverpool and what he did, what he achieved, and what I think the end feeling is with Liverpool here. How do we finish this season? I'm looking to improve this channel a lot, guys. I've got to admit, it's been a real challenge more recently. There's been a lot of people in the comments, obviously talking about other situations around my kind of YouTube situation here. And, I hate tacking these things onto the end of the video because it feels, I definitely don't want it to feel like hey, my mental health is suffering, I can't afford to make these things, because that isn't the case. I've got a very supportive family, a very supportive wife. And on top of that, I think it's just been a challenge for me to know how to address these situations and be fair to everyone involved without sounding like someone who's trying to make an excuse for whatever decisions I chose to make or all those kind of things. So the channel will be moving forward. Hopefully we're improving the quality a lot. At the moment, I do video on my iPhone. I do a lot of things basically phone-based with a microphone sometimes. And I want to improve and move forward, but I've got to admit it's got to financially work, and it is going to financially work. And I'm going to make this financially work because I'm really confident that there's some great content we can make. I'd love it if people share whatever video it is that you share, or just the channel in general, to kind of get some support for it towards the end of the season. We'll be doing transfers. I might take a couple of weeks to spend some time with my family, very consolidated wise, try and relax with the kids, because I've got to admit it's been a bit of a grind in the last 5-6 months. This channel has actually been a real the season's not over, so maybe I don't talk about this, but the channel's been a real familiar, regular thing for me that I've just been trying to do, because I've really struggled to upload regularly and really struggled to get videos out there sometimes, not because I'm particularly blighted by anything, just because that's one of my idiosyncrasies that I'm working on, and I really would love to build a better relationship with you guys, because it will only make the content better, and probably the opportunities we can get through the channel. I'd love to know what you guys would like to see, what you'd love to hear more of. There's a lot of kind of interesting social media videos that I might be able to put on here as shorts, those kind of things. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know, and I'll chat to you guys in a while. It's been a great season, and I'm going to detail why it's been such a good season for me in particular, in terms of Liverpool. But also why it's been so frustrating and why there's so much more to come. I look forward to chatting to you guys. Sorry for being overly sincere and maybe ending. It's not a down note, but you get what I mean. A couple of people saying I've been insincere around my situation and what happened with everything that happened back in November. I want to put a line in the sand fairly soon and basically say that on a very basic level, that I think a lot of people have got the situation wrong in the comments. And I understand why they feel that way, but it's not true. But at the same time, I want to be respectful to someone who's been a friend for a lot of years now, and I understand silence doesn't help that sometimes. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching. Always, it's been a fantastic season. I look forward to moving on in terms of content, not in terms of the football for Liverpool. Obviously, we missed out on top 4, but I really appreciate you guys. If you haven't hit subscribe, please do hit it. I would appreciate it a lot. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot. Much love. Bye.